Dear students, I now discuss the speaker setting, historical and literary context of the preludes. Speaker. The speaker of preludes is a distant, ambiguous figure never given a name, age, gender, or profession. For most of the poem, the speaker does not appear at all, making these descriptions of city life seem more like objective reality rather than the observations of a specific person. Changes in line 48 where the first person pronoun "I" appears. I am moved by fancies that are curled. This makes it clear that the prior line are coming from a single person's perspective, though again readers learn next to nothing about this person. All readers know is that the speaker seems to be a detached observer of city life, cataloguing many small but telling details. These details in turn prompt the speaker to think of some infinitely gentle, infinitely suffering thing. In other words, thinking about the drudgery and isolation of modern life causes the speaker to feel a vague sense of sadness and unease. Setting. The setting for Preludes is an anonymous modern city at various times of day. The city's setting is grimy, filled with litter and smoky smells, and host to a population going thoughtlessly about its daily routine. The reader gets glimpses of dingy shades and muddy feet, as well as a look into the room of an unnamed woman who is sitting on her unmade bed and staring at the ceiling. Overall, the atmosphere is filled with a sense of isolation and decay. This city is not a lively, bustling place, but rather one filled with dirt, grime, and loneliness. In early drafts poem, I was titled Prelude in Dorchester Houses and later tweaked to Prelude in Roxbury Houses, and poems 2 and 3 were each a Prelude in Roxbury. Dorchester and Roxbury are neighborhoods in South Boston. Eliot's decision to remove these specific details from the title helps to create an atmosphere of timeless universality. These poems could take place in any city, anywhere, although some references, example the lighting of the lamps and people smoking pipes, are dated nowadays. Eliot's depiction of city life still seems remarkably contemporary. Anyone who lives in a large city today will surely recognize these tropes of people mindlessly trudging to get their coffee, of the stale smells of food and alcohol at the end of the day, and of the loneliness of an urban street late at night. Literary and historical context of preludes. Literary context. Eliot wrote preludes during a period of great literary experimentation at the start of the 20th century, a period known as modernism. Writers like James Joyce, Luigi Pirandello, Dorothy Richardson, Guillaume Apollinaire, and Rainer Maria Rilke all had already published work that challenged established literary norms inherited from the 19th century. These norms were both formal, that is, related to the actual way that poems, plays, and novels were expected to be written, and social, sex, drugs and alcohol, feminism, and working class life all became new subjects for serious literature during this period. Eliot wrote the poems that make up preludes between the ages of 22 and 25, inspired partly by this experimental modern atmosphere. Initially published in the Avant-Garde magazine, last in 1915, Preludes went on to be included in Eliot's first collection, Prufrock, and Other Observations in 1917. The dismal take on modern urban life seen in Preludes is clearly echoed by Eliot's famous poem, The Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock. Eliot's models at this time were mainly French symbolist poets of the late 19th century, such as Jules Lepargo and Stephen Mallarmé. Symbolism was a movement that rejected realism in art. Instead, it tried to symbolize psychological states through descriptions of the world itself. A way to understand this is to think of the symbolic painting, The Screen by Edward Munch. The landscape and figures are distorted, appearing nothing like they do in real life. This distortion instead represents the screamer's internal agony. Eliot's descriptions of grubby city life in Preludes, combined with dreamlike fantastic visions, was inspired by these French poets. As Eliot himself said, the kind of poetry that I needed to teach me the use of my own choice did not exist in English at all. It was only to be found in French. Historical context: Understanding modernism also relies on understanding the historical period in which it took place. The early 20th century was a time of immense change. New technologies such as the airplane and telephone had changed people's lives immensely in a short space of time. Urbanization was increasing as more and more people began moving from the countryside to the city in developed countries around the world. Most importantly, World War One had shattered the old European order, although it was still going on by the time the final version of Prelude was published in 1917. The news of slaughter on the Western Front had deeply shaken ideas inherited from the previous century. Never before had a European war killed so many people and never so efficiently. The new technologies that had seemingly improved life for so many were used to kill on an industrial scale. This made modernist artists deeply skeptical of the modern world, hence the critical depiction of the city in Preludes. At the same time, though modernist thinking stirred up animosity towards older ways of living, after all, it was the old European empires that had led the continent into war. Overall, then, the modernist ideas that influenced Preludes were at once a revolution against Victorian tradition and a refutation of those who blindly charge ahead, fully confident in the new technologies.